I have some further thoughts about my dreams uh, yesterday that I talked about yesterday that are just occurring to me this morning. I I saw them individually as dreams about the church and the condition of the church, but now I'm starting to see that the whole thing could be, in a way, a rapture dream. That there are really two sides of the same thing. Um, the first dream, my wife represented the church paralyzed because of her confused situation where she's got Christ as the husband, but he's in her mind weak and powerless, and so she turned to the law, her second husband, and that didn't work out, or it wasn't enough, so she turned to the new covenant, the old covenant and the new covenant, so she has three husbands. And then she's got the mediator, represented by the hireling in the institutional churches, who's got her locked into another legalistic trap. So she is completely confused. Completely confused. Everything is upside down. And I, as the person of Christ in that dream, even though in her mind I'm weak and useless, decided to stay married to her. And I've been passively watching this whole situation unfold. The second husband, her third husband, the mediator, false mediator, the hireling, the church system, her bondage under her old covenant, new covenant confusion, trying to synthesize that with me. And I've watched the persecution of the stepson represents the children of the flesh. She's hedged in on every side, and there is nothing that can be done for her anymore but to remove her totally from the situation. That wasn't in the dream, but that's what my conclusion is that situation, she's completely paralyzed. I'm almost paralyzed because even in that dream I felt impotent, even though I'm the type of Christ and I know Christ is all sufficient. Her view of him, the second and third husband's view of him was he's useless. The mediator didn't even consider him. So he's sitting there, in the dream. I felt weak. I felt like there was nothing I could do for her, other than just stay faithful and watch all this unfold. That's how hedged in she is on every side. So what do? Do you try to teach her? Do you go, oh, you need to divorce the Old Testament and the first? You need to divorce the second guy, divorce the third guy, get rid of the mediator, get out of the church system. There's no time. There's no time, and that is the state of the average Christian who is genuinely saved. See, I'm still married to them, but in that situation, it's like Christ is of no effect, like Paul said. There's nothing that can be done. Her time is done. Okay? Then the second dream, where the church again is represented by that girl who was the mega church pastor's daughter, and she's doing everything she can to try to win this guy to the right of me. And one thing I didn't mention in the dream, and I thought about it afterwards, but I was like, well, I can't go back and redo the video. At one point, she was telling him, you need to choose now, or something like that. And he kept saying, if I don't choose, if I don't choose Christ, it's for the glory of God. And if I do, it's for the glory of God. And he was saying it kind of cynically, but he was basically saying everything works out for God's glory, in a way that was kind of mocking her. But the whole thing was that he represented the world that's been courted by the church institutions who have tried to get him the gospel by appealing to his flesh, and he's intellectually honest enough that he's not going to buy something that's not real. He can see that's not real. Especially when she gets on him, she's kissing him and everything. So and then I got, the last thing I got in the dream was Tribulation Saint, and we left. Or the dream ended. Well, that means that there is nothing more that can be done for this person. He's hedged in by, all he sees is the fight between, I was trying to preach the gospel or help clarify the truth, but I couldn't. And actually, now I'm wondering if I was a type of Christ in that dream too. That I was, arguing with her, trying to teach her the scripture, and also arguing with him, trying to help him see. But her voice was so much louder than mine. And she just kept resisting. And then she was all over him and trying to be sexy, but wasn't. Now, that I kept saying she was absolutely gorgeous, but pure. Yet she was trying to be sexy, and that's what didn't fit. And even the guy could see that, because the church or the world expects the church to be holy. And I concluded that she's saved. And see, here's the thing. If I'm a type of Christ, and I kept noticing how beautiful she was, but not in a sexy way, but I saw that the sexuality didn't fit because there's a purity to her. Well, then I'm clearly seeing her through the eyes of Christ, the bridegroom. And what is to be done? Take her home and marry her. So in both dreams, Christ, the figure who represents Christ, which is me, is paralyzed and can't do anything in the midst of that situation. And the only answer is to remove her from the situation. In one, she's completely confused under the old and new covenant and doesn't understand how powerful her Christ is and how sufficient he is, and she's seeking mediators to mediate these two covenants rather than just cleaving to Christ himself. And she's got herself in the institutional church, and she's so wrapped up in all this stuff. The only answer is to stay married to her, but to bring her home. Then in the second dream, she is trying to win the lost, and that's even more of a problem because she's using all of these phony tactics that aren't working, and he can see right through it. And so that guy's not going to get saved. But I said, Tribulation Saint. And I'm paralyzed. I can't help her because she's arguing with me and drowning me out, and I can't help him because all he sees is the conflict, the evident conflict between what Christ would be like and what she represents. That's what a lot of the people who are tribulation saints, I think they think right now. It's like my brother, I wonder if he's going to be a tribulation saint. He can take, in a way, he can say, yeah, if Jesus is real, he wouldn't be like the church. That's basically what they say. That's what they hate. That's why Babylon has to be judged. That's why this harvest has to happen. God has to get his bride home so that he can save the tribulation saints. They can't be saved in this situation. Christ is deadlocked. And I'm not saying he's not powerful and can do anything, but because he's dealing with human beings and he's not overriding their will and all that, he can't work from within that situation. He has to remove his bride and start the next phase. Hope that makes sense. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because you haven't seen the videos, so you can disregard all three of these if you don't feel like watching those videos. Alright, take care.